Howdy, y'all. You may recognize me. I'm Buster Twinger, country western music recording star. And K-Tail Records has given me an opportunity of a lifetime to present to you the Rusty Twinger Cattle Trail Mix. Yes, for the first time ever for the public, the recordings of my great-grandfather, the one and only cowpoke crooner himself, Rusty Twinger, can be presented to you in this one-time only collection presented by K-Tail Records and the Twinger Family Foundation. Never before have these songs been heard by anyone outside the family. And this is because, until modern technology allowed it, these recordings were only on wax recordings made by Thomas Edison himself. You see, most people don't know this, but Thomas Edison invented the gramophone just so he could record my great-grandfather's songs. That's how much of a fan he was. But they've been on those old wax recordings until modern technology has been able to clean them up. So here for you all, this amazing collection of over 30 songs written and sung by my great-grandfather, Rusty Twinger. You get such songs like Smells Like Cow Pat.
Well, the cattle are all restless, but the smell here leaves me breathless.
Or his inimitable Cattleman.
Have I lost my mind, driving cattle day and night? Get along, doggy, 'cause my butt is hurting me.
His own Dusty Hayes. Here's his own Cow Tip.
Got a good reason for taking my sex gun out. Got a good reason for taking my sex gun out. It was a cow tipper. Lost his school kids, yeah. It took me so long to find out, but I found out.
His haunting Trailway to Heaven.
There's a cowpoke who's sure that this drive will break on, and he's driving a trailway to heaven.
The playful Big Butts.
Oh, I like big butts, I cannot lie. You and the brothers there just can't deny that when a girl walks in with an itty-bitty waist, stand around thing put into your face.
His epic 20-minute long Streets of Davida.
Out in a gata Davida, my honey, don't you know that I love you? In a gata Davida, oh darling, don't you know that I'll always be true?
Or how about his classic, deeply personal Cocaine?
When the cattle just sting, you start to think cocaine. I'm on a cow drive to hell. On a cow drive to hell. A cow drive to hell. I'm on a cow drive to hell.
And even his one and only love song, I Won't Steer You Wrong.
Along the dusty trail, my love will never fail. So get along, doggy, get along, 'cause I won't steer you wrong. No, 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 no.
And for this limited time offer, we even have found recordings made by Thomas Edison of my great-grandfather in duet with the one and only Western songbird, Lil McGill.
Why don't we do it in the road? 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 No one will be watching us. Why don't we do it in the road?
So there it is, ladies and gents. My great-grandfather, the founder of cowboy music, the driving force of so many musical styles today, presented here in this one and only limited collection. So again, let me present to you the Twanger Family Trust and K-Tail Records collection of my great-grandfather's songs, the Rusty Twanger Cattle Trail Mix. Only available for a limited time. Order yours today. Thank you.
To get your one-of-a-kind limited edition copy of Rusty Twanger's Cattle Trail Mix, please leave $20 in your name and address in an unmarked...
This channel is a not-so-proud member of YouTube's all-encompassing special society of heavily overwhelmed layout enthusiasts. Check any railway show, check any railway club, check any layout, check your own house. You'll find one of us somewhere. Warning, the content of this stream is not suitable for children under the age of 16. The topic, language, themes, attitude, and personality of the presenter is not appropriate for anyone, much less children under the age of 16. Topics discussed will not center on trains and will focus on anything except politics. It just happens trains are running. Any similarity between characters, situations, trains, and intelligent thoughts is strictly a coincidence. Any rebroadcast or transmission of the stream without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is strictly prohibited. Viewer discretion is advised. Remember the 3 rules for model train layouts and pretty much anything. It's your layout, do what you want as you want. Do not tell someone else what to do unless they ask you directly what they should do. Do not call out, mock, criticize, or insult another channel on your channel or anyone else's channel. Thank you for your cooperation.
See it, you'll love it, and it's all done in the best possible way.
Hey, happy Friday once again, everybody. Yep, that calendar just keeps clicking over, and it is Friday, and I'm here. Hope you guys are well. Hope you're feeling a little better than I am, but we'll talk about that later. Let me see. Normally I just go down the chat. Hey, we got Dino at Model Railway Shed. Thanks for coming in. Andy, the hot dog pilot. Great to have you here. Pierre was here earlier. I don't know if he's still in the background or not. Hi, Pierre. Bonjour, Pierre. Let's see. So, Hot Dog Pilot and Model Railway Shed. Craig at New Durham Junction, Model Railway. Welcome in if you're still in the taxi listening. Let's get united if we can. I now declare you a knight of the rhomboid table. Let's see, who else? So we got Craig. Dinmore Junction, nice to have you here, sir. Leslie, what a couple of epic videos this week, especially the derailment clearance. Those videos and images were fantastic, newsworthy. You know, just any news agency would have gladly paid you for that. Hey, Carl is here. How are you? Tim JD. I think I lost track of everybody I was saying hi to. But, yeah, we had New Durham Junction was here. Dinmore. Tim JD.
Great to have you here, sir. We were just watching the video last night of where we met you over there when we were in the UK. Joyce and I were. Carl from Bangor Junction. How are you? Another one we got to meet over in the UK. What a great guy. Really appreciate all the time you spent with us. Jerry, the class 812 is here, the Caledonian. Nice to have you here. And Andy T was here. Tom Couples is here. Great to have you here. And let's see. Chris from Bally's 56XX is here. Jean Ricard. Hello. How are you, sir? Kiwi Dave. Hello. How are you? Just trying to make sure I don't skip anybody. Joseph Agliato is here. Kieran is here. Nice to have you here, Kieran. We don't talk as much as we should. We need to get yakking again. Why don't I include my special guest star in my titles? The only special guest star that I usually have is Joyce, and she is in the opening titles. It says, with Anthony Dodge and Joyce Dodge. If that's what you're meaning. Otherwise, I'm sort of out. Or maybe you're talking about Buster Twanger. But anyhow, I noticed somebody asked, had a question mark with Rusty Twanger. You have to, if you're very new to this channel and you've never watched the Matt Clarke stuff, I mean, first of all, you can't just grab an episode and watch it. It is a continuous story. So series 1, episode 1 has to be watched before you watch anything else. And you can't start with series 2 unless you watch series 1. It's all very linear. It's like a soap opera, a bad one. But Rusty Twanger is a character in the Matt Clarke stuff. He's known as the Cowpoke Crooner. And he's a very bad singer that is well loved. And he has some crazy songs he sings. He always shows up. He's a world famous cowboy singer, but he's always in Big Gulch when big events are going on. So, hey, Bernie at Crossways is here. EFO is here. Nice to have you here, sir. Hope you're well. Lee is here. There we go. Andy at March West Junction. Nice to have you here. And did I miss anybody else? I apologize if I did. I think I mentioned Joseph Agliato. How are you? This has been a hard week for me. Guys, I wear my emotions on my sleeves. I don't hide them too much. The only time I'm actually good at hiding my emotions is when I would go to work, because I always put on the happy face for my students and did my thing, even if I was bummed out about something, or if even in that case I was just too bummed out or upset about something. I would tell my students, guys, I'm not in a great mood today, so bear with me if I seem a little edgier or grumpier. But Joyce and I went up last weekend to visit my friend John, who is terminally ill. And it's just hard because you don't know which visit's going to be the last visit. Hey, Edward, how are you? It's just, it's a roller coaster of emotions without many ups. It's like just a long downhill. And Joyce and I are trying to get up every couple of weeks. It's 2.5 hours away, and there's construction, and with weather it can take sometimes 3 hours to get up there. It's just he's not married. He's got a brother still alive. He had another brother who died of, the whole family has a history of pancreatic cancer. Not pancreatic cancer, I'm sorry, prostate cancer. My apologies, I said pancreatic. Prostate cancer. So his brother died of it, his dad died of it, and he's dying of it. So it's... you meant Kyan. Well, see, I have so many special guest stars, it's hard to name. So it's just been a hard week and some other stuff just happening in the real world. Joyce is having a rough week, and today Joyce was having her formal review. So Joyce has been on high edge this week. She's doing her formal review where she has to write out a very specific lesson plan based on a state, a government standard, something that students have to be taught at this time, at this grade. And then the principal and other people come in and evaluate you. And you have to do 2 standards. You have to do what's called a direct standard and an indirect standard. And it's too hard to explain. And she was doing the indirect standard. And the principal came in and had no clue what she was doing. And he interrupted the lesson and like, well, this is not what you're supposed to be doing and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yes, it is. And I sent you the lesson plans and you approved the lesson plans. And I told you I was working on the indirect standard in this lesson and blah, blah, blah. And, so Joyce rarely communicates with me directly from work, but she was clearly livid today. After all the work she's been putting in to do this lesson, it just threw her day off. So it just got crazy. So it's been a crazy week. So that's that. Anyhow, one good thing did happen today. One good thing that happened is let me pull up this screen. Whoops, I gotta make sure I'm on the right one. And there it is. So here I am. Okay, I got a visit today. I met another YouTuber for about 2 hours. This gentleman, Tom, from Tom's Miracle and Train Layout. He lives on the eastern half of Ohio. I live on the western half. He lives in northeast Ohio. I live in northwest Ohio. So we're about 3 hours apart. And he had business he had to do in Michigan. So he came through Toledo. And he called me and said, hey, I'm actually going to be coming through Toledo on the way home on Friday. Is there any way I could stop by and meet you in person and check out the trains? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. I felt comfortable. I've been talking to the guy enough on his channel, but he stopped by today. And unfortunately, I don't take pictures. I don't think about that. I feel so bad. Like when I met Philip Page, Joyce took one picture instead of getting a bunch of selfies. When we were at Allen's or even at Jim at Hover Motion, I don't take a lot of pictures. All the people we met I'm videotaping, but I'm so caught up in the moment, I'm not thinking, hey, I should get some stuff that I can put on a live stream. But hey, Steve87 is here. Gary, how are you? Nice to have you here. That's Creepy013 if you don't know who Gary is. Everybody's still kind of saying hi to everybody while I'm babbling. But it was great to meet Tom. Tom was originally born in Germany. He's been in the United States for 30 plus years. I think he said 32. He does Miracle in Trains, but he does new and older ones. He doesn't have a, quote, layout. He's just got a couple large tables because his number one love is he collects model cars. The big scales, 1/18th and so forth, 143, 1/32, 1/18. He collects those scale cars, and he's got a basement filled with them. He says he might have one of the largest model car collections out there. So he just got home. He left my house at a little after 12, and he just got home about half an hour ago. So yeah, about 2.5 to 3 hours to travel between us. And some truck tried to kill him while he was on the highway. But anyhow, great guy. It was awesome to meet him. We've been talking. He loves old Miraklin and other companies that run on the Miraklin system. He's really big into the Orient Express, so he's got a lot of different versions of that. A lot of the French company Jouf stuff. So just it was great to meet him. He was here. He was impressed with the size of the tables here. So that's it. Nothing big. The only thing is, let's see, which one? Is it this one? Yeah. This is something I pre-ordered. This is a new version of the Regiobahn. Of a Regiobahn, except now instead of a locomotive, it's got Steuerwagens on both ends, control cabs on both ends, and you can do it as a 3-car, a 4-car, or a 5-car set. And I ordered this when it was available, and they said it is, it was available, and now it's sold out. And I was like, oh crap, did I not get one? So I emailed my shop and said, hey, this now says it's sold out, even though I've got a reservation in. Does that mean it's not coming? And they said, no, don't cancel your reservation. It's coming. In fact, it should be here. They said by the end of the year. So I don't know if this will be not a Christmas present, but this has been, I've been waiting for this for several months. I missed the first one. They've done 2 runs of this, and I missed the first one because I only had it on the watch list, and it was in and sold out before I caught that it was in. So this time I reserved it. And it's a pretty expensive little guy, but I'm looking forward to getting this guy. I'm really going to. So yeah, I'm really excited, and so I will be getting one according to Lipa. They did, they are going to get the. They order a couple of extra for the shop, and then to fulfill all the pre-orders. So I am going to get this, and maybe, knock on wood, soon. All right, so that's the only news. The last couple of weeks I've had stuff to show you. Nope, this one is not going to be a gift. She took the ones that were supposed to be for me and turned those into Christmas gifts, so this one will not be a Christmas gift. When I buy trains, that's usually for me. If she wants to buy me a train, I give her a list and say, well, here's some things you can choose from, because they're on my wish list. I bought some stuff I wanted, and she nabbed them and said, oh, these are your Christmas presents now. Your birthday and your Christmas present, because my birthday is 6 days before Christmas. And that's actually been some consternation in the family, because other stuff is coming out, and where it was on my wish list, and I was like, well, there's things I was going to get, and things, and to me, Christmas and my birthday, it's, where I wouldn't normally buy it for myself, but here's a chance for somebody to buy me something. And she had a list, and then she turned around and took those. So anyhow, as we move on, let's go to what trains I'm running today and get them running. Yeah, I've been trying to find a friend in an HO scale version of the Shinkansen. Anyhow, so the trains we'll be running today are, we have the Railjet from bottom left to upper right. We have the Railjet is back after a couple of weeks off. I am running a freighter again. Somebody last week who was new to the channel asked me, do you ever run freight? And I'm like, well, I just got done where I actually had a freighter on the layout for 4 straight live streams and took it off last week. But I have a freighter back. Now, the weird thing is my freighter's being pulled by a 101. And 101s are passenger service, high-speed passenger service. But I didn't want to run the same loco I had been pulling the freight with. I want to clean it up and give it a rest after 4 straight weeks of being on the live feed. I wanted to give it a break. And let it maintain its break. Okay, anyhow, we can see the IC2 is back there. I got a Class 143. You can see the IC2 is the white with the red stripe. And then the Class 143 electric, it will be pulling that rake of ESU cars that I keep complaining about. And here I put them back on the layout again. I apparently never learn. And then in the back, for those of you who like steam, I am running a Rheingold steamer. I will be doing around Christmas time my Steam Palooza, where I get all my steamers out and run them. But for now, for the heck of it, I grabbed this one. I was in the mood to run it. And so what the heck, we've got that one going. And then way in the back, it's another Lint Class 648. So let's get these guys in motion and flying around the board. And I'm fully expecting there to be some insanity because there's been some problems with a couple of trains, and I feel like I get them sorted, and then out of the blue, half an hour after I get them sorted, they stop being sorted. All right, 143, take off. Whoop, there we go. I did change all the couplings on these cars here. I will never buy ESU cars again, but I changed the couplings so they're not quite as close as they were. But hopefully that will end some of the issues I've been having with them. And so let's see. Let's get the steamer going. And to get the steamer going, I got to go here. Whoop. Whoop. Yeah, I know, guys. There was no slow pickup on that one. But I just cranked it up to speed. What Jean Ricard asked. Jean Ricard never asked a good question. Oh, what's on the floor? Yeah, I got to get the floor. The floor is the Mallard. It's always the Mallard. The Eurostar does. I need to get wider curves for the Eurostar. My Eurostar, the only other train I can run on that, doesn't like the floor. So let's get the floor going. And we'll go to the multi-view, and I will start to catch up with the chat. Although I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to do a better job of keeping up with the chat. I've moved the Mallard image right next to me. Oops. I forgot. Cayenne bumped that camera. Okay, there we go. Hey, Mark is here. Hi, Mark, how are you? And Raymond is here. How are you? Well, the double-decker coaches, that is a standard consist. Locomotive, 4 double-decker cars, and then a double-decker control cab, or Steuerwagen, as we call it in German. Hey, Paul's here. Yeah, the Brava is, don't know, it was supposed to be out, July, August, September, and Brava is saying it's 4 months or more delay because of the microchips and electronics import problem. Hey, Rick is here. Hello, Rick, and to Lisa, hello out there. GWR Buckley Junction has popped in while I was down here babbling away. Let's see, anybody else? Nice to have everybody here. But it was great to have a fellow YouTuber and a fellow American guy in the house. He's got a great collection himself. If you go to his page, I'll pop it up here real quick again. And let's just see that real quick if anybody wants to go check out his channel. And again, you know, I don't run UK. Okay, I do run a couple of UK trains. I can't say that now. But even though I'm not, quote, into UK trains per se, I admire a lot of UK channels. And I don't run American trains, but I admire a lot of American channels. You can broaden your horizons, 2-rail, 3-rail, all countries. Check it out. But let me go to it real fast. Where is it? There we go. But it's Tom's American Train Layout. I will copy and post a link to it if anybody wants to check his channel out. And we'll get back to the trains then. Whoops. And now you're seeing all that. So let's go to that one while I do this. In between your jobs. So that's a link to Tom's channel if anybody wants to check it out. All right, Raymond. Well, that sounds cool. See, I see Lima at shows. I see Lima European stock at train shows when I go to them. And they're almost always not the era I do, since I do era 6. I've heard good and bad things about Lima. And again, I know Lima does a lot of stuff in the UK as well. And I don't know if there's a separate division, their 00 stuff. or whether the Lima stuff in the UK is HO actually. I don't know. I don't know this stuff. But I like how it looks. I mean, it always looks quality. I just have never bought Lima. And I was just sent a link by a friend showing me a gorgeous Vectron 193 in the German Regio Red, but it's a cross-national version of it. In fact, it's got a map of Belgium on it. And from LS Models. And LS Models are supposedly really good models. I've never owned one or tried one, but I've never heard a negative thing about LS Models. So I'd have to try those. Have the reflexes of a stick insect. That's a good one. Or a koala bear. Got you, Raymond. Okay. And somebody, GWR Buckley, I need to catch back up with that. Mentioning getting somebody's. And yeah, going back to that, Raymond. Yeah, until, I mean, this sounds bad to say it. But I mean, I got into model trains at the end of 2015, and until 2021, I had a very small budget for trains. I have bought more trains in the last year and a half than I did in the first 5 years I was in the hobby. I was blessed to get a big pay raise right before I retired. And Joyce and I, after 35 years of marriage, finally paid off a couple of bills. And that gave a little bit extra cash, plus COVID. That was probably the biggest thing. Was Joyce and I normally save all our money for our trips to Europe. And so because of COVID, we had to cancel our 2020 trip and our 2021 trip. And then because we already had bought the tickets for the 2020 trip, the Air Canada, whom we used, just kept the money and said, well, next time you fly, we'll just apply this to that flight. And so we did. So for our UK trip, we didn't have to even pay for the airfare we already had. So all that money I would have normally paid for trains and lodging and everything when we went to Europe, that was money for trains. Model trains as opposed to actual trains. And so I've been a little more glib about, I see a train I like, that's a locomotive, what the hell, I'll get it. But yeah, it is an expensive hobby, especially in my case, because A, European trains tend to be more expensive, and B, I don't buy used. The very first train I bought was used, and that was great. The ICE-3, which is now enjoying its happy days in Canada. Well, that would be cool. Indeed. Yeah, Rick, and again, the guy from Trains, it's funny. The guy that runs Trains, Trainz, is a Toledoan. He's from Toledo, and he had a shop up here, and then he moved south years ago. And he does have a lot of Märklin stuff. He has a lot of European stuff. Now, every now and then, and I've bought some stuff from him, but overall, I find his Märklin prices tend to be higher than if I were to buy from another shop. but sometimes he has something nobody else has. But yeah, I tend to find his prices on the European stuff a little bit higher than I could pay elsewhere. But now he's in Georgia. I forget exactly where in Georgia, but I think it's outside of Atlanta. Pico Class 119 diesel, $111 with the starter set with 3 wagons is $119. Sounds like a good deal. There's a couple of Pico starter sets I wouldn't mind getting. Now the thing is, Miraklin just released, and it's just now in the shops. Miraklin released the Rainbow ICE 3. And it's not cheap. And I'm really debating putting that on my get it list. Hey, did I see Artie has come in? Yep, there he is. Good morning, Artie. Hope you're well. You've got the Rainbow ICE on your wish list, Dave? Yeah, I just put it on my wish list, but it's in stock now. If I wanted it, I could order it now and have it here by this show next week. But because that other train I was showing is that one has precedence since I have an ICE 3 already. That little double-decker one, that one is that one has priority. Yeah, well, EFO, that is the advantage you have living in Europe. There's going to be a lot of Miraklin stuff. I am lucky if I, like, the Toledo show, the Toledo Train Show, which is every March, and I did a live stream from mine earlier this year. It was the first time I'd gone in a few years. There was one guy who actually had Miraklin. Now, there was some guys that had some Rocco, just a couple of pieces of Rocco, European Lima, and blah, blah, blah. But only one guy who specifically sold Miraklin. And it was all older stuff, including a lot of M-Track things. And he wanted a hefty price for a lot of it, including one of the old M-Track starter kits, which I can understand why he'd want a lot of money for that. But, yeah, it's the Rick Railroad was here. We went to the Great Berea Train Show, the Greater Berea Train Show, which is outside of Cleveland. And that was a great show. But there was one guy who really had a decent amount of German stuff, and then a couple of guys had a couple of Rocco cars, or Lima seemed to be the most common one, but not a lot of Miraklin. I would love to go to a train show in Europe. I've been to train shops, like one of my favorite train shops is in the city of Kempton. It's Jan and Heinrich's. And wow, that was a very wonderful shop. The people were very friendly. I spent more money there than I planned on just because they were so nice and helpful. We had a great discussion on wiring and C-Track, and he was a fan of C-Track. And it was funny because he says, I know everybody, this is all in German, but he says, I know a lot of people don't like C-Track, but I just think it's wonderful, and it's just easy to use, easy to put together, and it made me feel better about having gone C-Track, even though it's not prototypical enough. And he says, if you do your layout right, nobody notices. Just really, really great guy. Next year, model railway show at your birthplace in Glasgow. Hey! Stefan is here! Skål or Skål, whichever way it's pronounced up in Scandinavia now. Hope you're there. Hey, George is here, or I should say, would you say Jorge or in Jorge? I'm trying to remember how that's pronounced in Portuguese. But we need Tonight You. So if you'd like to advertise your channel, let's go back and find that. George Aziniera, welcome Jorge or Jorge. However, I forget how Portuguese. In Spanish it would be Jorge, but in Portuguese I don't know. I think the J has more of a, almost like the French J sound or a Y sound. Jorge. Well, hello, Dave Williams. No such thing as being late here. You're just really early for next week's show. Now, Warley is next week, right? Because I've seen too many people online today that I figured would be traveling already. Knights of the Rhomboid table are never late because you never know how long your quest will take. That actually kind of rhymes, people. Well, Joyce and I, our trip to Germany this year, June. See, I'm still on school calendar. Joyce and I always call it this year because it's part of this school year. Our next trip to Germany in 7 months. Wow, 7 months already. That's cool. Scary. But we are going to Miniature Wonderland again. We're going to hit Miniature Wonderland. Hopefully, hey, anybody over there, I don't have it with me. I don't have the dates with me. I think we're leaving June 1st and in Germany June 2nd. But we're going to be in Miniature Wonderland around June 5th, June 6th, June 7th, somewhere in there. I'll give exact dates maybe next week if I remember. But if you're up in Holland, Ifo, and Jean Ricard up in Denmark, if you guys would like to meet us, we'll buy your ticket in and treat you to a trip around Miniature Wonderland. If you want to have kind of a YouTube meetup at Miniature Wonderland. And Artie's been talking about going to Germany, so if he made that trip, that would be really wild to meet Artie in Germany. Ah, okay, Raymond. Crew open day. Yeah, well, that's the problem. There's a strike. I'm sorry, an industrial action day, like the big travel day to Warley. Well, I haven't booked the hotel in Hamburg yet either. It'll probably be the one we stayed in a couple of years ago near the train station where the floor was like this, but what the heck. But yeah, we will, as soon as I book it, I'll let everybody know where we're staying. Because we're only going to be in Hamburg for like 3 days, so I think we'll do a hotel rather than an Airbnb or something. But then we're going to go down to Peter Porsche's Traumwerk and see his big layout, that big fancy layout that he built. And then we're going to hit model train shops in any city we can find just to see them. How close is Dutch to German? Well, it's very close to German. In fact, there's a dialect of German called Plattdeutsch, and Dutch are basically the same. I know that'll cause a fight, but they're so similar. But by speaking German, you can often understand. To be honest, I can read Dutch better than I can understand it when it's spoken. Because some of the Dutch accents can throw me off. I don't have a vibe for the various regional dialects of Dutch. Well, that's true of any language, Jean Ricard. Definitely certain words have very specific meanings in one of the two languages where it's broader or different in the other language. But just in general, the basic grammar, the basic conversational terminology is similar enough. You know, it's just whether you say ich in German, ich in the Dutch I know. But really, another way to look at it is Dutch. Dutch is like a third of the way to English. Dutch is a bridge between German and English. Modern English is, even though we used to call it Anglo-Saxon, it's actually based on a Frisian dialect. English is Anglo-Frisian in its ancestry. We just used to call it Anglo-Saxon, but in proper linguistic terms, English is Anglo-Frisian. Hope to get to York at Easter. Yeah, there's that. Hey, Terry Elland is here. Hey, Terry. I did not film. I took pictures outside of Jan and Heydrich's and a couple of shops in 2019, our last trip to Germany, and then COVID ruined everything. But I will seek permission to film inside this time around. Ask people, can I just do a quick Zoom? Normally, a lot of shopkeepers don't like you filming inside for some reasons I've encountered. So I just don't tend to ask, but I think this time around I'm going to ask because I make friends with a lot of these people. Yeah, Edward, Puppen in proper German, Puppen is a Dao, a Pupa. It's related to the word puppet, but in slang German, Plattdeutsch, and Dutch, Puppen is where we get the English word poop. Okay? Andy, it's too late. They went there, parked the bus, and now they're just waiting to see what happens. Well, I prefer a French maid, but that's a different story. Yeah, last week I was all excited because I started writing Matt Clarke, the Christmas special, and now I really need to get going. And then Saturday and Sunday hit, and I have to be in a certain mode to do comedic writing, and that mode and that mood just got the door slammed on it. I've just been trying to get through this week and trying to find something to cheer me up. I think Tom is coming to visit, cheered me up. We'll see if today's live stream cheers me up. That's true. It's all about, Dutch made, German made, French made. It just depends on the maid and the costume. That's an interesting question, Ifo. Did large amounts of Pico stuff end up in the USA? Because Pico has a large presence here in the G scale. They have both European and American-based stuff, but you can find Pico even at Hobby Lobby and Hobbytown USA. You can find Pico stuff. No, Mark. Probably not. It might make me laugh. It might make me vomit. Artie. When we're talking these type of maids, we're not worried about what they clean up. We're just worried about their service. And that is a male chauvinist objectifying comment. And I made it. Because Joyce isn't here to bat me upside the head. No. At least that's not the plan. Because I have a German, let's see. Cog is Norwegian. Eifer, the engine driver, is Swedish. Aloysius Dalt, the toy store and bookstore owner, is German. He's A. Dalt Books and Toys. He's A. Dalt Books and Toys. A. Dalt Book and Toys. He's German. Well, there's that too, Jean Ricard. Could always pull the ICE fleet and run them for fun. Yeah, well, I usually do that in January. I try to do an all ICE show, or as many ICEs and ICs as I can. I now have enough trains, if I can get the ICE 4 fixed in time, that all my track would be ICE. Well, I've got 4 ICEs, and then I've got an IC1 and an IC2, so that would be 6. I could do all 6 ICs at once. I think it might be the most boring show. Hey, Lindy's here. Don't worry, you'll tell her about it. That's all right, dear. She knows about it. Yeah, Robin Hood made Marion, and then Marion's dad made him get married a couple of months later. Kyan, are you up? Opa loves you. Kyan, what's up? I actually saw Kyan today. My daughter Lindy stopped by today to pick up some stuff. And so Kyan was a little confused, like, I'm not supposed to be here today, but since I am. But he didn't quite nag me to start playing with stuff. He walked in, and the first thing he walks in and sees me sitting in my chair, and he points to the TV and goes, Bluey, 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 Bluey. His favorite cartoon show. And then he started asking about cars, getting the cars out, and I was like, no, you're not going to be here that long. And he didn't throw a fit, so he must have understood, yeah, I'm not usually here on Fridays. And their minds, it's always weird to what the mind of a 2-year-old, or he's not even 2 yet, what it truly comprehends, but does it understand patterns. He's used to coming Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays, Mom drops them off for work Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Sunday is the family get-together day. How much so there's got to be a part of him that recognizes the routine and recognized today was not the same routine. Yeah, I hear you, Steve. That's just those darn socialist countries, I tell you, they got the best of everything. Lisa has a lingerie shop on your train layout. Now you do O scale. That would be better with HO scale because then you'd have ho, ho, ho. But that's a different story. That's what Santa calls his 3 favorite reindeer. Ho, ho, ho. Wait, no, that was almost a Scottish joke. No, wait. A Norwegian joke. Sorry, Stefan. Willie Aid, ring a bell. Oh, ADE Model Eisenbahn. Okay. So no, that rings no bell to me. I have very, very, very limited knowledge, and I have tried to be on top of the limited knowledge I have, but still, because I go by what other people that I think are pros say. Okay, I've never done that. Yeah, I did, Artie. Those were pretty good. I did not go through all of them, but yeah, Blinky Bill, sadly, I had forgotten about even talking to you over that. Just this week has been such a big black cloud of frustration and despair. A bacon buddy or sandwich. Yeah, and actually, Raymond, I do have sightings that are off camera where my trains, I have my other trains parked. Not enough. I don't have enough sightings, but I have sightings. I've got a 5-lane sighting that is off camera. Not one of my cameras shows it. I mean, I suppose the Joyce cam again. It's where I park all my high-speed trains. I'll go to this camera, and then we will, hand of God, but we'll lift it up. So there on the wall is the part you never see unless I do this and show it to you. But there you can see my ICE fleet parked, and then my 2 shelves that can hold 6 lines of trains and locos each, and already that's pretty much maxed out. Mark's on fire. And then there is a parking area there where you see the yellow and the green, and you might be able to see my IC, but I don't think it'll be too easy. The yellow and blue train, and then my Alex train. That's also a parking area that's supposed to be a station, like they're sitting there waiting. But there's 5 lanes parked there. So 5 lanes against the wall, 5 lanes there, and then all that stuff. There we go. Okay. So let's go. Yep, Alex is parked. Hey, Ian's here. Hi, Ian. Glad to have you. Hope you're well. You've been working very hard with the layout, I have noticed from your Facebook stuff. Nothing wrong with Pico stuff as long as the wheels aren't loose. Yeah, I always heard it, Paul, as you'll go blind and stunt your growth. And I said, I'm over here, shorty. One needs service locomotive BR55. You need something to finish your bottom layer. You've got the lights to finish your bottom layer. Supposed to be there Monday, came in on Thursday or Friday. You want to be politically correct? I don't think it's any worry of being politically correct to say shorty. But who knows? Hey, Dwight Curley's here. Hiya, Dwight. How you doing? Hope you're well. I kind of like that. The let's see if I go to the Joyce cam back just to watch the trains there. Interesting contrast. The little diesel, the DMU coming around in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hey, that's pretty. That little DMU, the Class 648, he's blue and yellow. Blue with yellow on the bottom, and then the Bavarian one here is a yellowish cream with blue on the bottom. So they kind of contrast each other nicely. It's they kind of go well together. Yeah, that little background scenery you're seeing there that's just taped up on the side because, well, I'm just do silly things like that. That is a panoramic picture that Joyce took when we were in Pirna, Germany. That little shot is near the city of Pirna, which is just east of Dresden. You went to Menards for Wi-Fi cable and walked out with 4 ore cars as well. Yeah, Raymond, I've done that too. I've bought some El Cheapos basically from Amazon, you know, where it's a building for $5 that comes in. And with a little bit of work and touch-up, they can definitely fit in. Now, my thing is I went 3D printing and have been printing up buildings and starting to design. When my brain finally circles itself around to getting to work on some things, I'm going to design the school from the city of Delmenhorst, Max Planck Gymnasium, that we did an exchange program with from 2003 to 2016. Well, Mark, in all fairness to Artie, that brown paper bag does say Gucci on it. Of course, it was written in red crayon. And Raymond, it all depends on how you use them. You know, if they're in a back part of the layout where people aren't going to get too close to them, or if they are, you know, in the middle of a crowd and you put some good figures or self-painted figures with them, then it's a brilliant way to go, and it does save money. It's like trees. You know, don't spend several $100s buying a bunch of really nice trees. Buy just enough trees to view from the outside of the layout, and then put all the El Cheapo trees inside. And there's plenty of videos that show you how to take the El Cheapo trees and make them look a little nicer as well. Exactly, Raymond. After going in vehicles, definitely only use the cheapos. I'm not going to spend expensive money on characters that are in windows where you can't even see them anyhow. You know, that's definitely what I do. Is I buy the really El Cheapo figures as passengers. Hey, a boomerang that does not come back is just a boomerang that's had enough of your crap and is fed up with you and is leaving. Yeah, we don't want to get into that. The Australian kangaroo bondage stuff. Tying the kangaroo down. Yeah. Tim, you say this is the best view? Okay. I like it. And I guess it does get enough traffic, but I just prefer the multi-view where you can see everything. You know, there's a train in every picture. There for my UK friends. A 00 Mallard just running in a circle. But then all my German trains are just running in a big circle, really. Okay, it's not really a circle, but you know what I mean. Exactly, Efo. They do, if you touch them up, they look pretty good. Because, to be honest, that's really the difference, is the paint job on them. You know, when you order something from a 3D print shop, you know, like Mini Prints here in Canada, the difference is the paint job. When you buy those really cheap guys, they use cheap paint. They just slap on a couple of colors and throw it out the window. If they put the effort in, like Prizer and Oak do, to give a better variation. But even Prizer and Fowler figures, they have their cheaper lines where they put minimal paint in. They're still painted better, but like a guy's wearing a blue suit or a blue coat, blue slacks, black shoes, you know, very, you know, minimal coloring. See, everybody debates what's the best view. This is why I have so many cameras, Jean Ricard. This is why. What's the best view? Because I will go, ooh, I like this view. And I'll watch it for a while when I'm running my trains. Oh, this is a great view. And then another view comes in. And I'll go to that view for a while. How did the Holy Roman Empire influence the German language? I don't think the Holy Roman Empire influenced the German language. Because the Holy Roman Empire was, and I know I'm about to take some crap from some fellow history people, was basically Germany. In fact, its full name was the Holy Roman Empire of the German Nation. But yes, at times it had French, Italians, various Slavic groups. The Dutch were part of the empire. It was a multi-linguistical empire to begin with. But it was centered, its heart was in Germany, or what is today modern Germany. The biggest influence on the German language is Martin Luther. That's the biggest influence. German could have easily have broken into 5 or 6 languages, very indistinguishable or very distinguishable from each other. Sort of like the way Dutch evolved into a language that Bavarians, you know, people from northwestern Germany, close to the Dutch border, they understand Dutch very well. Bavarians don't, but the people in the north have a hard time understanding the Bavarians. You know, I talked to people, because my exchange program was in northern Germany, and you'd mention Bavaria, and they'd go, oh, I don't even understand what they're saying. And I can understand Bavarians, and maybe it's because I'm an outsider who learned German as a second language. And maybe it's my degree in linguistics. But I can pick up the German, the root German, in all the different dialects. But Martin Luther, by writing and publicizing the New Testament in what was primarily Saxon German, but he used other dialects of German when he felt their use of the word or their meaning of a certain word was better than the Saxon German. He used it. So he was the biggest influence. Not only was he a major influence in religion, he was a major influence in the development of the German language. And then you have a whole bunch of other guys that had key influences. You know, even poets like poets and writers such as Goethe and oh crap, my brain is just gone. Goethe and Schiller, they had influences on the development of the language as they began trying to create. But then there's Goethert and some other guys that wrote the first grammar books in German and said, hey, from now on, here's how you should spell this word, here's how you should pronounce this word, and those slowly caught on and became the accepted norms. Hey, Graham is here. Nice to have you, Graham. Very nice. Tim Vine, yep. What type of cameras do I have? I have 3 Logitechs, 2 Logitech 920s, and 1 Logitech 922. And then I have 4 Nexigos, which is my new favorite. I actually love the qualities of the Nexigos, and then the rest are generics. Let's go to the multi-view. I've been on this view for a while. So, but I have, God, how many Nexigos? 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 4 of my cameras are Nexigos, 3 are Logitechs, and the rest are generics. This one, which I think gives one of the cleanest pictures, this is a DB Power. This is a generic off of eBay, but it's the best of them. I bought another company that made the exact same thing as this one, and it was a piece of crap. But this is a 4K camera. But what I love about it is you don't get this close up. You don't get any blurring and focusing. It just gets it all and brings it in. But this is a great camera. This one is a Nexigo. Nexigo. And I really like it. In fact, I'm probably going to move it up and replace the, what's the camera that is? Oh, the one that I use for the 11 lane camera. That is a Logitech, but it is starting to act up a bit. Yes, Raymond, I do. Let me see. What was Valley saying about Carolingians? You stoked my interest with, you're talking history. Yeah, the Carolingians and the Merovingians were just family dynasties of the Frankish Germans. And see, that's the problem. Whoops, I don't need to be full there. A lot of people hear the term Franks, and the country France is named after it. France was West Francia. But the Franks were a Germanic tribe who spoke a Germanic language, which is a ancestor to the modern German dialect called Schwabisch or Schwäbisch, depending on where you're from, as well as Rhenish. And the Merovingians are just named after a guy named Meroc who took power. But that angered me. I shouldn't say angered, okay, just as a purist. In the Keanu Reeves movies, where reality is a dream. Matrix, that's it. In the second Matrix movie, they introduce the character the Merovingian, and they make him French. But the Merovingians spoke a Germanic language. They were Franks, and they had not Latinized yet. Only those who lived in West Francia, which was the eastern half of France, spoke eventually Latinized. They basically were Germanic tribespeople who tried to learn Latin, but their combination of Latin with Germanic roots and blah, 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 turned into what became French, or Old High French. But at the time of the Merovingians, they would have spoken a Germanic-sounding language. And then the Carolingians were named after Karl, who basically, Karl was what was called in the Frankish dynasty was called Captain of the House. He was called Captain of the House. And Karl, or Charles, the Captain of the House was basically in charge of the armies when the king didn't want to lead the armies into battle. And kings, the Merovingian kings, got kind of fat and lazy and decided they don't, they just wanted to enjoy the riches. And Charles Martel was a house captain who went and fought a battle against the invading Moors, won that battle, and came back, and all the nobles, the noblemen and the landowners of the Frankish dynasty said, "Our king's a loser. Why don't you replace him?" And Charles said, "Sure." Stabbed him and became King Charles, and that was the start of the Carolingian dynasty. And a lot of them were named Karl. But Carolingian simply means the children or descendants of Karl. So there's your family history. Had a pillow fight, yikes. Oh, there's the cannibal jokes. Does he taste funny to you? You can just start all the dad cannibal jokes. Why did the cannibal eat the knight? His doctor told him he needed more iron in his diet. And then there's the totally improper one. Why did the cannibal eat? Why did the cannibal eat the person in a coma? Why did the cannibal eat the... Yeah, there's a whole lot. Well, Mark, hi there, Mark. I thought we knighted you last time you were here, but we will knight you again. And now declare you a knight of the Rhomboid table. And again, everybody here, if this is your first time here, some of you came in and I knighted you, made you a moderator. Everybody's a moderator, so you can post links to your channel if you want to see if we can get you some subscribers, or if you want to, there's a real cool train hobby comedy related video you want to share, as long as it's something positive, nothing negative. Hey, Steve's Double O Gauge has come back. Welcome back. So for the double O Gauge people, here you go. We're running the Mallard. There you go. We even have a double O. But if you're new to the channel, let me once again, I know, but I haven't done it in like 3 or 4 weeks, so I'm going to do it this time. American algorithms, where is it? Layout map view. Okay, everybody. Here is my layout. If you were sitting where I am sitting, you would be looking that way. Not up, but towards that part of my layout. So I have on that side, and I'm actually pointing to the wrong side, but for this camera, I'm pointing that way. But that side on the map, that is an 8-foot by 12.5-foot table. So 8-foot by 12.5, so 2 1/3 meters by 4 meters. 8-foot by 12.5. The middle section, right here in the middle, that is 2.5 feet by 6 feet. So 30 inches by 6 feet. And then the other side, that's an 11.5 by 8 foot table. So it forms a big C or a big U or an N, I don't know, whatever letter you want to make it. It is an N chaser layout. The trains just run big loops. There are 3 loops that run around the whole course of the table, as you can see. And then there are 3 additional loops that just circle on that table over there. And some of the cameras and where they're positioned are shown on this map. No, we have not done the show for Chris. Life has been happening, and even though I'm retired and you think I got all this free time, just way too many things have been going on, and I haven't gotten to it, and I need to get to it. We need to do that. And I haven't even talked about the last 3 weeks, but we need to do that show for Chris and kind of put that to rest. But right about the time we started talking about Chris dying, my other friend went into hospice, and I literally, and Joyce's brother died in the middle of that, and I literally have been going from one funeral to dying friend, from one funeral to dying friend, nonstop the last few months. And it hit me when Chris died, and then Joyce's brother died, and then my last human best friend is now in hospice, and he might be here for Christmas, he might not. Might not be here for Thanksgiving, don't know. He's already at the stage where he's doping himself up a lot. They just give it to him now. So he's with you and awake for 5 minutes, and then he's out for 15, 20 minutes, and then he wakes up and he's with you, and then he's not with you, but he's awake, if you know what I mean. And it's just been... But yeah, that's the layout. The city of Delmenhorst is an actual city in Germany that I did an exchange program for 13, 14 years, whatever it was, taking 150 students from my high school, my secondary school, over there, and then kids from the school we exchanged with came here to our city. And it was wonderful. Unfortunately, it did fizzle out. Our school changed its boundaries. They closed 2 high schools and combined. And basically the people in one neighborhood said, we don't want to go to school with the kids from that new neighborhood being added in. And they all send their kids to private. In the UK, you call them public schools. See, public in the US and public in the United Kingdom are opposites. When you hear me say public, I think that's what you would call in the UK state schools. And then in America, we say private schools, which you guys call public schools. Where you pay a tuition to go to that school. They're exclusive. Not everybody's allowed to go there. Anything you need at Warley, a small blonde. Well, it's been done now, so that's that. So yeah, if you want to check out people's channels, or if you want people to check out your channel, post your link. So we're trying to get people up to whatever their next level is. And, if they're at 180, let's get them up to 200. If they're at 290, let's get them up to 300. If they're at 1393, let's get them up to 1400. But I assume if you're here, you're already subscribed. So I have never asked anybody to subscribe to me. In fact, there's a video on my main channel that discourages you from subscribing to me. And still, 1,393 people, because I have a big family, have subscribed to my channel, which I find insane. But you got great channels here. Tim JD just put up a brilliant, very active video of all his trains running, which was cool. March West Junction here, great video. He's a fantastic builder. He's got a beautiful layout. Paul Bozeman does all kinds of great stuff. And see, I'm going to start, just go watch my call out video. Just go watch my call out video. Because I have this horrible thing. If I give one channel a call out, I feel guilty and I feel the need to name everybody. everybody that I am subscribed to has a great channel, and they're fun to watch. So from Aus America to Ifo Van Zandt, it's just great people. Joyce and I always say that if we take the time to decide we like you, that means you've got to be something special, because Joyce and I are very much about character. You know, being a character, but that you have a good character, that you are a good person, and it shows that in all the people we've met where we said, yes, let's meet. Because trust us, we've had some people say, hey, we might be near Toledo, can we stop in? And we're like, we're going to be out of town that week. Yeah, and that's true. You can click on the link, or you can click on, if you're knighted, that's very true. You can knight. Hey, Eagle Creek, how are you, sir? Great to have you. But yes, if you are knighted by being blue, you can just right-click you can click on the 3 dots and click go to channel. But I would right-click and say open a new tab. Otherwise, you'll accidentally leave this channel, at least on some of the formats. Hey, Stewart's here. Oh, my goodness. A lot of great friends coming in. They heard me talking about great people, so they're showing up. But Stewart's got a lovely channel. Oh, but Jean Ricard, at the Knights of the Rhomboid table, Jean Ricard, you serve a very important role within the Knights of the Round Table. You can't have a court, you can't have a kingdom without the jester. What, did I see, did Vinny come in? Did I miss Vinny? I apologize if I did. I tried to keep up, but because that's BNSF 6951. Hey, Jason's popped in. Yeah, I do need more cameras. I gotta save up for more trains. I've got a lot of trains coming, so we're down. Although I really do like the 3x3 format that OBS gave me with the 9 cameras, and then I can just stick myself in the middle of it, and I can, if I want to, I can shrink myself a bit and hide. But yeah, we got 11 cameras going, and if I turn on the GoPro, we'd have 12. I forget where the GoPro comes in. I forget where I set up the GoPro because I haven't done it in a while. It depends, Ifo. I actually do have a fairly strong sense of control because I do know where our budget is. I do know when I can blow some money. And the funny thing is, as much as, you know, we talk about Joyce as kind of the banker in the family, I keep tabs on everything. But Joyce is the banker. She sits down and figures out the bills, pays them. I do the taxes, but she does the monthly accounting because she does not like to do taxes. So I've been doing the taxes for the 35 years we've been married. I've been doing my own taxes for 42 years and 41 to 42 years. And I actually did, no, her dad did her taxes until she got married. And then once we married, we do everything joint. But the funny thing is, as much as Joyce has the reputation of the no and conserving money, the funny thing is, when we go to train shows, if Joyce goes with me, she's the one that will point things out and say, oh, how about that? Oh, go ahead and get that. It's really funny. But all the stuff I bought at the Berea train show, that was all Joyce pointing it out and saying, what about that, honey? What about that? Well, it's not my area. Yeah, but those are kind of cool looking. And you can run something else besides your Rheingold. Like, okay, yeah. Oh, look, honey, it's a Beck's beer from Bremen. You got to get that because we do Beck's beer. And I look at all trains and admire them. When I look at somebody's layout, I just admire the trains. I admire two things. The actual craftsmanship on the actual model that made it, and then I admire the craftsmanship, computer design to make the model. And I could look at every train. I mean, I'm not into steamers, but I have 3 steam trains, actually 4 if you count Emma. I have 4 steamers if you count little Emma here. And no, I've got 5 if you count Emma. I'm forgetting the Mallard down there. I've got 5 steamers now. But I look at a lot of steam trains and go, man, that's really cool. And if I were into steam trains, I would like that. But I know, nah, I'm just not going to spend the money and get that. I bought a couple of steamers, and then I saw the Mallard, and I just thought the Mallard was so cool looking, I had to have that. And the other one's a Christmas train. But I have the 2 Rheingolds, and that really is it. I'm just not going to buy any more steamers in the foreseeable future. I mean, there's some German streamliners I think are gorgeous, especially, and I forget the name of it, but there's a red one. Oh my gosh, that is a beautiful streamliner, but I've got too many other trains I want to buy before I would go off the reservation and buy that one. Emma is 3 rail. Emma is 3 rail. There's the little ski. Little 060. So it's got its little 3rd rail pickup right there. Call it a ski, or officially they call it a shoe. Or a Schleife in German, which is not shoe. But all my American friends that were into American call it the ski. So, but yeah, everything I own except for the Mallard and the Eurostar is AC 3 rail. And that reminds me, Ifo, you were talking about DCC last week, and I didn't talk about the comment where we were talking that Maryland is DCC, and you said technically it's MFX, and yeah, it is. The problem is DCC in colloquial speech is now being used as a way to say digital. People say DC when they mean analog and DCC when they mean digital. And let's face it, that's what DCC stands for, Digital Command Control. Or at least that's what it did stand for. But DCC is a digital language, for lack of a better term, from somebody who likes to keep things simple. And so some are it's a programming code or language. And so, yes, a lot of trains are DCC, but you can have DCC on 3 rail track. My Railjet is DCC, but my Maryland Central Station 3 reads DCC and reads MFX. But that's why I thought I was trying to explain it last week, is that people use the term DCC when they mean digital. Digital trains versus non-digital. Hey, Cassie, how are you? Richard Brown. Nice to have you here. So Emma is AC, but it is a outer proportion. It's kind of like a 00 or even worse. It's completely out of proportion, and in the box it came in, they specifically tell you the figures and the arrangement is not HO scale, but it's designed to sit on HO track. If anything, it's almost, the figures are not quite O, but they're close to O. Hey, Kieran's taking off. All right, Kieran, take out. Take care. It was nice to have you here. Again, we're talking steamers, Kieran. In fact, I was thinking of you because somebody talked about running their J94 on a live feed I was in earlier this week. They were getting their J94 out, and I went, Kieran! Yeah, she is out of scale in every way. But she's kind of weird scale in the movie, too. Yeah, and Raymond, you should. Nobody has to go digital. In fact, digital, to some degree, adds a lot of cost that in a hobby that's expensive, analog, non-digital, is the way to go. There's still plenty of stock out there. Trains get remade all the time. Model trains. The American market is, the UK market and the American market are very strong about releasing things both analog and what they call DCC ready. And again, they say DCC ready because that's the primary programming language that are used. American just happens to have its own decoder language or code, whatever you want to call it. MFX. Actually, it was American Motorola. Then it was MFX, and now it's MFX Plus, and coming soon is MFX Plus 2. And I still think sooner or later trains will be Bluetooth. Get rid of all the wiring. Just a power supply, and then... Yep. But this is always the danger we have. And from my teaching perspective, I'm always about how do you take a complex issue and explain it simply. How do you take something, like electrical? If you want to have a good time, get an electrician and an electrical engineer in a room and have them discuss whether Maryland track is really AC or DC. They will argue. The electrical engineer will say, no, it's DC, blah, 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 blah. It's, even though they call it three-rail AC, it's not. It's DC because of the way... And the electrician will say, no, it's AC because of this, 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 and this. And it's the same thing with architects and engineers. The architect designs it, and the engineer goes, that doesn't work. And being a teacher, it's always like, how do you take the complexities of German grammar and explain it to students? And nowadays, they don't want you teaching the grammar. They want the students just to pick it up. All of foreign language education today is supposed to be what we call in America immersion. I'm supposed to walk in day one and start speaking German and having the kids reading simple German paragraphs, and filtering and slowly picking it up by osmosis. The problem is with the students I teach, if I walked in and started speaking German on day one, half of them would quit and they'd cancel the program. You actually have to do most of your instruction in English where I taught. I didn't like doing it that way, but my program was almost canceled once. None of the foreign language teachers at my school do full immersion, especially in level 1, because the kids that we're teaching, they tune it out. Like, I didn't even want to be here. They just threw me in this class. Hey, Kyle's here. How are you, Kyle? Yeah, I can run my trains with my phone. There it is. So here, I'll do this real quick. Go big. But you can see the app. And then I will click on, actually there's 3 apps. The mobile station app's just worthless. You only control 1 train at a time. The CS3 remote was a free one, and it's actually pretty good. When the American was pay, but now the American is free. But I bought it 6 years ago. But slowly it will load in, and yeah, I can control my trains. I didn't want to do that. Oops. It switched on me at the last second. Go back to your hidey hole. Go back to your hidey hole. But yeah, you can see that. I can control my trains if I want to change train, and my turnouts and everything else. And there's my list of trains. There's all my trains. I have way too many trains. And so yeah, I can control them from here as well. That's the only difference between a Z21 and American Central Station or an E-Cost. And let me go back to train so you don't have to look at my face. Yeah, and Andy's eating, so you don't want a close-up of my face. No, you don't. I say I have too many trains, and I've got a lot more coming in the next few months. And I fully admit I am lucky to be where I'm at now. When I got into trains, my first year into trains, I had 3. My first year, I had 3. And then I picked up 2 rail jets. And then Joyce, for Christmas, bought me a freight train. So all of a sudden, I was at 5 or 6 trains. And then I picked up 1 here or there. But in the really since COVID broke out, again, as I said earlier in the stream, all of my travel money went into, what the heck? We got this extra money. We did a lot of housework too. It wasn't like I spent all this extra money on me. We got a lot of stuff done on the house. We took a giant tree out of our front yard down that was dead. We paid off a bunch of things. But all this money I would have spent that I have deducted from my paycheck to pay for our trips to Germany. For 2 years, that travel money, the flight money, everything else was pay off a couple of things and buy some trains. So I really exploded. The last 2.5 years, I've just exploded in how many trains I've bought. That's true too. You build to the size you can build. If all you got is room for a 4x8 table, that's what you build on. And no knocking it. You know, I hate it when somebody goes to somebody else's live feed or looks at their, and they're running a layout, a 4x8 or a 4x10 layout, and people go, oh, that's too small. I was like, you can feel that way. You can feel that way. But click off the channel and go away. you don't have to say it in the chat. You don't have to type it in the comments. Okay? People do the best they can do with what they have. And in this hobby, where it is an expensive hobby, I come across as a rich man, but I have no other hobbies. I'm not fishing. I don't bowl. I don't own a boat. I own a small house. My kids have grown up, so I'm not paying for braces and all this other stuff. One car will be paid off in another month, and the second car will be paid off in another 8 months. And they're used cars to begin with, so the payments are low. But I did, in the last 4 years I was a teacher, we finally got a big raise, so my wife and I were used to living on one budget, and all of a sudden, we got a big raise, and then I retired. So I fully realize I am luckier than maybe a lot of people. But I'm grateful, and at the same time, I'm just happy running my trains, and I don't like it when somebody doesn't let somebody else just be happy with their trains. Never feel bad about what you're doing. If you got 2 trains and a 2 foot by 4 foot loop of track, enjoy it. And when you lose your mojo because your layout's getting you down, or sometimes life in general gets you. I know it's easy to say, but a lot of times I tell people, when you lose your mojo, if you can't run trains on your layout, take some track and build a circle on the floor, on the kitchen table for a bit, and just run your train. Run your favorite trains. You will rediscover very quickly why you like model trains. The layouts get to be a headache. The technical issues can be a headache. Wiring this, wiring that. And you go, oh man, I've lost my mojo. I don't lose my mojo for trains. And I love doing this live stream because I come down here and watch my trains. And that's why I don't pay attention to the chat. I'm watching my trains on all my cameras. Indeed, they do make it bigger. And that's why you just, even if it's only for an hour, set it on the floor and run a circle and just go, man, I love that train. I really do love that train. And if you can't motivate yourself to work, I've got a Fowler car system that broke my heart in April of 2021. And I can't motivate myself to work on it again. But I'm running my trains and I have my train mojo. I just don't have build my layout mojo. And that's why everybody that builds a big layout, the first time you can run a train, that excitement. You're never that excited about anything else in your layout. You get excited and you love things, but you are never as excited with your layout as the first time you run trains when you get the track down. Think about that. Disagree with me if you want in the stream. But seriously, just judging by everybody's reaction, the biggest excitement you have is, yes, you're building a big layout, but when you get a circle of track down, a loop of track down, whatever, and can run a train, that's the happiest. You'll be very happy. Hey, I got the bus wiring in. Hey, I just finished this section. Hey, I just finished Wienerville. That's for Jason there. I just finished that, and this looks really cool. And you can stand back and look at it and go, damn, I did a great job. This looks awesome. And you can be excited. Mark with his waterfall. Mark at Model Rail Fantasia with his waterfall. Damn proud. But think about it. The first time you ran your trains in a loop, when you started your new layout and got enough track down to run a train, you were like, yeah, I've got trains running. I know I've got a long way to go, but I've got a train running. Mark at Model Rail Fantasia, because we have Mark at Dunnicle Dad, and I don't know, there's at least Mark Stanover. So there are 3 Marks that I know of. All right, well, thank you, Dino. Thank you. Have a good night. Yeah, I'm wondering if Joyce elected not to come down today because she's a few minutes past her time. Or maybe she got tied up at work. Yeah, Raymond, and yeah, and it works. You know, it works for people. And if somebody comes in and, well, that's not quite in scale, you're just like, shut up. You know, it looks cool. Exactly, Kyle. Exactly. You're absolutely spot on with that. A Pico G7 with KPEV plates. Königreich Preußen. Eisenbahnverbund. So, you know, that was my, I don't want to call that a rant. That wasn't a rant. That was a soapbox speech about, you know, I don't want to steal anybody's line and say the joy of trains, but, you know, in the few years I've talked to people online and on Facebook where like, I've lost my mojo, and I said, have you just run your trains? Have you just set up a circle somewhere and run your trains if your layout's down? You know, and there's nothing wrong with losing your mojo. There's no law that says it's not a job, it's a hobby. It's not a job, it's a hobby. And just when building the layout gets too much, then don't build the layout. Just run trains. Philip Page is here. Hey, Philip, how are you? My kitchen counter man. Oh, Philip, can't believe it's been almost half a year since we met you already. Yeah, I will be getting the... we have a day off before Thanksgiving, and that's when I put the... we have a day off. I have every day off before Thanksgiving now. But we... the day before Thanksgiving, which is next week, well, yeah, next week Thursday. So the day before, Wednesday, that's when I usually try to put the Christmas lights up on the house, and we get all the Christmas decorations out of storage. And then we usually wait until the first week of December to put the Christmas tree up. And as soon as we get the tree up and decorated, then I put the train around the tree. Yeah, Joyce is not going to be joining us tonight. Yeah, I do. I just, I'm, you know, I still get asked, and I've said it. People ask me, oh, aren't you bored? And no, I'm not bored. There are things I need to work on, but, and I'm not working on them, and I have time to work on them. But part of my problem is I have to stew on something. I have to... Like, to work on the Fowler car system, just to do a simple thing as cut the pieces. It might take me 2, 3, 4 days to work it in my head of exactly what I want to do, how I'm going to do it, set it up. And if anything jars the rhythm, I like have to reset to 0 and start the build-up process all over. So like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was all set. I got everything out, was ready to go. I talked myself into it. And then we had some bad news and some other things happen. And we sort of had just a lost weekend. And I was just in a, not in a good space. To think about my layout. And then I have to start all over again. And that's me. I don't know if it's related to my autism or ADD, but it's a definite idiosyncrasy I have. And one thing I do is I like to play my various war games and just use that as a way to focus my brain. And then all of a sudden I'll find, okay, boom, I've cleared everything out of my brain, and what I need to work on starts flowing. I was doing that with Matt Clarke. I started writing Matt Clarke, and then we went up north, and a couple other things happened, and last weekend, and I just lost the mojo. And so what do? I go to my Matt Clarke series, and I start watching Matt Clarke Series 1 and then 2, the Christmas special in Series 2, and just try to get that feeling back. No, Joyce will not be joining us tonight. She had a really bad day at work, and she says she just could not be on camera. She's just too upset with stuff, and she just doesn't think. So having said that, I think everybody's going to leave now, right? Yeah, Joyce is not going to join us tonight, according to her message. She's just really, really upset from work, and her principal did a stupid, and it's just typical. You know, I could start getting worked up and upset about, because I had to we go through this process every couple of years where we get evaluated. It's the State Teacher Evaluation System. The Ohio Teacher Evaluation System. OTES. O-T-E-S. Ohio Teacher Evaluation. Where a bunch of politicians who don't know a damn thing about education make up all these rules, and to prove that they're making teachers accountable for the education of young Americans, they make us do all this additional paperwork that adds hours to our work week and accomplishes nothing other than it gets in the way. So instead of staying up to 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock to grade papers, you're staying up to 11 or midnight to grade papers, because you're doing all the state crap on top of it the year that you're being evaluated. Edward, I tried that argument with her, and she said no. Artie, I made it. It's right here on the stove waiting for you. You got to get your ass into the kitchen here, and you'll have breakfast. Don't yell at me. You're the one who laid in bed and then expects breakfast, and I, like a good friend, have it for you, but then you won't come and get it. You want bedside delivery, and I'm not an Uber driver. And buttered scones for tea. And cut down trees and eat buttered scones for tea. But we don't want to know about the wear women's clothing and hanging out in bars. Everybody should be singing it. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. He's a lumberjack and he's okay. Sleeps all night and he works all day. What would I do if you all showed up? I would ask you what you would all like to drink and what snacks you would like. And then I would run to the store and get it all. And then I would probably ask you to be careful and don't break that. High heels, suspenders, and a bra. I wish I were a girly, just like my dear mama. Oh, Bevis, and I thought you were so rugged. Or, oh, Bevis, and I thought you were so butch, depending on which version. Just put in a silly offer for a Bachman 45 Prairie Tank and won it. Well, silly offers will often do that. Silly as in more than you should have, as opposed to silly as in less than. Like, I'll do that on eBay. Somebody will have something really expensive on there, make offer, and I'll put in $50. Yes, Jean Ricard, I would more than likely let you play with the trains that are on the table. Whether I would let you change the trains, I don't know yet. Hey, Mark, thanks for popping in on your late Friday evening. Yikes! Sorry, my friend Thomas Kessler is talking about the damage he had leaving my house. Now I feel guilty. If he hadn't stopped at my house, he wouldn't have had the truck try to run him off the road. Oh, man. $3,000 damage to his car. All because he stopped at my house. I try not to sniff glue anymore, but anytime I'm gluing something, I sniff the glue. All right, which Andy is leaving? Mark is leaving at Stanover. Well, there you go, Cossie. My wife and I came to the UK and spent a month in June. We came to your side. Take care, Mark. Thank you very much for popping in the channel. Hopefully you'll come back. Ciao for now. Cho for now. But yeah, I mean, I'm stupidly trusting the first time. I'll trust everybody once. But, yeah, I would let people just with the caution. All right, guys, now be careful. Because if I went into your house, A, I would be very reluctant to touch your trains. And B, if I ran them, I would be very delicate because I don't want to be that guy. You know, I don't want to be that guy that some YouTuber goes on. Yeah, you know, imagine if I had gone to Alan Wiles, you know, Dragon Junction. I went to his house. I was in the shed. I got to see his layout up close and personal. The man, the myth, the legend himself. Imagine if I started playing around with something and broke it. Could you imagine what Alan would say? I mean, and I'm not saying I accidentally did, where I was playing around like, hey, look at this. Or let's make it go really fast. I would be so deservedly booed. You know, I could just hear Alan, who's always so jovial, usually a very, very happy guy. And this bloke comes into my layout and he starts messing with my trains. I'm like, you know, I could just hear him going. And so it's really, really, you know, I think everybody in the model train. Hey, look, I trusted tough kids from the inner city with my layout in my class, and it was a couple of girls who didn't know trains who messed it up. My gangbangers protected my train set in my class. Of course, it helps that the gangbangers liked you as a teacher, too. If they hated me, well, you know. Yeah, so I don't think I'd have any problem. I'd show you how the system works, because really there's not much to control. I mean, I can hand you the individual hand controllers and say, here's how you speed it up, slow it down, and here's how you operate the functions. But otherwise, it's start it up and let them run. Paul Bozeman, that's an old joke. They asked the famous American pitcher from the 70s, Tug McGraw, which do you prefer, grass or AstroTurf? And he says, I don't know, I've never smoked AstroTurf. I stole your joke. You'd start for Toledo and end up in the middle of Bonneville. No, you don't, Rick, and you're welcome to come down anytime you want. Hey, Luma! Nice to see you, Ade! I know, I jumped on you and I stole your joke. I feel bad, but I had to. Here's a funny joke that we model railway people should be making if it hasn't been made yet. Some joke about static grass. Yeah, I smoke static grass. That shit puts your hair on end. Anyone? 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 Is this mic on? Hey man, I tried smoking static grass. It was electric. Hey, Clive. Hi there. Nice to have you here, sir. I really feel bad. This guy stopped at my house, spent a couple hours. If he had just gone straight home and not stopped here, he would have avoided that idiot truck. I actually feel very guilty. Huh. All right. Okay. Andy Pandy has a lot to answer for. What I need is a German Glückswein. Glückswein. A lucky pig. Actually, what I need is a really good German Glühwein. It's almost Christmas time. A Glühwein would be really good. Spiced wine, German spiced wine. I love Glühwein. Don't know about Muffin the Mule. I know Francis. We had a mule named Francis, but we got sick of him and sent him to the Knackers and had him where they turned him into a glue factory. But it was a talking mule. Then why didn't he say something? My time here. It is 5:40 in the evening here. Yeah, they did. Which one do I have now? I have the, oh, that's, where did I put it up there to keep it out of cayenne sand. Whoops. Genre card, I would love to go to Germany for a Christmas market. I can think of at least 3 cities I would love to see a Christmas market in. And in some cases, maybe just pick a random small village. But right now, there's no way we could travel both in the summer and during the holiday season. And dragging Joyce off for more than a couple of days during the Christmas season probably would not be a popular idea with her. She would like to do it, but she doesn't want to do it, if that makes sense. Nuremberg, Dresden, and let's see, Nuremberg, Dresden, and who else has got the really cool one? I think Cologne. Munich would also be kind of cool. To be honest, I would love to see it in Mittenwald or Garmisch-Partenkirchen. Yeah, Artie, because if there's one thing we all know, you need to work on your figure. Sigh of relief, Andy. Sigh of relief. Yep, you guys are now 5 hours ahead of us in the UK. You are for about 48 weeks of the year. Or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. 49 weeks of the year. You're 5 hours ahead of us. There's a 3-week period where you guys go to daylight savings or adjusted time or come off of it, and we stay on it for an additional 3 weeks. Your grandson at the deanery school. Yeah, though it's hard to think of Nuremberg as southern. They're more, I think of them more as eastern and central, but yeah, I guess they're more southern because they are still part of Bavaria. Cologne, I don't think is southern. Cologne's more central western. But I mean, I'm sure Hamburg has a great one. I'm sure Bremen's got a cool one. Bremen would be another cool one to go see. I really, it becomes ridiculous to try to pick the best, who has the best. And Dresden is very not south. They're east. Grow mushrooms. Yes, almost Netherlands. Yeah, Ifo, and since you mentioned it, Aachen is a city I have not been to in Germany, and I want to get to it. Joyce and I toyed with going to Aachen in 2018, but the trip got canceled. Something came up, and we just couldn't travel that year. Joyce had surgery. And Aachen, we were going to hit that Aachen area because we wanted to go into Luxembourg just to say we've been to Luxembourg and up into the Netherlands. Because Joyce and I have been in the Netherlands. We've been in Amsterdam, but not really long enough to do anything. Just like 4 or 5 hours in between flights, and we just went out and took a taxi cab real quick and looked around. We've been to Groningen and spent a day in Groningen a couple of times. Yeah, Joseph, that's what everybody says. Nuremberg is the best Christmas market, which is why I'd want to go there. But I would want to go to other cities and compare. I'm not great at picking best, because a lot of times what I think is best, other people say, but that's so boring. I was like, but that's why. Joyce, the worst question you can ever ask Joyce is, what's your favorite? What's your favorite food? Oh, there's so many. What was your favorite part of our trip to Germany? What city do you like best in Germany? She hates that. Now, if you ask her a favorite part of the UK, she'll say she loved the city of Cardiff and the mountains of Northern Wales. She will go that far. And then she'll immediately, like I will, apologize for all the people that might feel slighted. But, yeah, Cardiff blew her away. She fell in love with Cardiff more than any city. And she's in love, like, one of her other favorite cities is when we go to Germany, when we go to Dresden and the little town of Pirna East, she loves that region of Germany. She loves that region. And she fell in love with Pirna and that region very quickly. Pirna. She fell in love with that region. But Cardiff was ridiculous. Within a day, she was, this is the most wonderful town I've ever been in. Yep, we had a quickie in Amsterdam. And you've got Granada in Spain. All right, you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend there, Jason. Take care. Well, there are great places to go. Like, it depends on what you're into. I mean, I'll put it that way. But any place that has value, like if you want to go see the German Alps, which are the smallest section of the Alps, the Swiss Alps are taller, the Italian Alps, the French Alps, the Austrian Alps are all taller, the German Alps or Bavarian Alps are a little bit shorter. You're in the mountains, so that's going to draw a lot of tourists, especially in the winter with the skiing resort. But, you can go to the Rhine River and stay in a town like St. Goar, G-O-A-R, Goar, or across the river of St. Goar. You can stay there very cheaply. The restaurants are inexpensive and nice. Train travel in Germany is very cheap. And as long as you don't go to certain shops that are big after the tourists that come in, you'll be fine. There is a wine shop in St. Goar that's very famous, Stefan's Wine Paradise. And the cruise lines going down the Rhine River, coming down from Amsterdam or up to Amsterdam, they'll stop at St. Goar and let everybody go shopping for the wine. Now, his stuff is reasonably priced, but a lot of the other stuff they sell in the shops around, very high marked up price. But all you got to do is look around at the different shops. But the key is, what do you want to see? Miniature Wonderland is only about $14 per person to get in. And you can spend 12 hours there if you want. And it's worth every penny. An extra $5-10 and you can get their backdoor tour, behind the scenes tour, worth every penny if you're into model trains and want to see the coolest layout in the world. My apologies to Northlands fans and everybody else. Yes, Canada is a foreign country, yes. And the worst thing you can do is say Canadians are just like Americans. That'll get you punched up real fast. Oh, Canada's just like the United States. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. They speak the same language, but it's different. It's a different country. But, you know, if you decide what things you want to, like, do you want to see castles? The Rhine River. Do you want to just see beautiful nature? Pick a spot in Germany. Germany is a beautiful country, as is France. Or Ivo will tell you how beautiful Spain is. I have not been to Spain, so I won't say anything negative about Spain. But for me, the great parts of Spain, the central and southern part, the old Moorish parts of Spain, like he mentioned Granada. I have seen dozens of documentaries about Granada. I've seen other friends' video from Granada. It's beautiful, but Spain, the cuisine is not for me. The climate, it's too dry, especially in central and southern Spain. When I would travel in the summer, it's a beautiful country, but it's just not on my bucket list of countries. There are so many beautiful cities. I could never pick a beautiful city. Dresden is a beautiful city. Every city's got its bad part and every city's got its charm. You know, when you're a tourist, you tend to see the charm stuff. Prague is a beautiful city, but it's loaded with tourists. That was the thing with Nuremberg. If you want a trick to avoid the tourist trap and to avoid some of the other tourist issues, when you go to a city, don't do it as part of a travel group where you're there for 5-6 hours and then you get on the bus and you go. Spend a few days. Rather than hit 10 cities over a 2-week period, pick 3 cities and stay 5 days in each one. Then you will really discover the beauty of that town. And the longer you stay in a town, the better. But I can tell you how to spend 2 days in Berlin, and I can tell you how to spend a week in Berlin. I can tell you what you should see if you're going to go to Cologne, or Köln as I call it, the German way, Köln. You know, the main tourist things to go see. You know, like, we were in the German city of Füssen, and I'm sorry if I'm ignoring the chat, my apologies. We were in Füssen, which is where the famous fairy tale castle is, Neuschwanstein. Now, I had refused to go see Neuschwanstein for years because I was a snob, and I'm like, it's not even a real castle. It was built in the 1860s and 1870s. It's a fake castle. And I always thought that when I got there, I would be unimpressed with it. That, you know, it's such a tourist trap. Okay, the town of Füssen is a tourist trap. There's all these places that will charge you 2, 3, 4 times the money. When you get down by the lake or near the castle, they will overcharge you on everything. But over my travels, I've learned, don't eat at places that close to the place, because that's where they jack up the prices. Go into the old part of town where the tourists don't want to go. It'll take you an extra 10, 15 minutes of walking to get there, but go to the other side of the town, any German town. Go to the part of town where the tourists don't go. You'll find good food at cheap prices. But we love the walk to see was free. Now you had to ride a bus that cost $2 to ride to get to the walking zone, Or you could have spent 2 hours walking. We took the bus that dropped us off and then took the half-hour walk up the path and then to the bridge to get the really cool view. The walk is free. The nature, the site is free. To get on the bridge is free, but there's a line because you got hundreds of tourists. And it takes you maybe 15, 20 minutes to wait in line before you can get on the bridge. So that can be annoying. Especially if you have a large group of tourists that are trying to do a 30-person selfie in the middle of the damn bridge. But the view is free, the town is free, the walk around is free. It's like Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls has got so many tourist traps along the main boulevard. But there are places where you can park for free, $2 bus ride down to the falls. The view of the falls is free. Walking along the street to see both falls is free on the Canadian side. The fresh air is free. So it's not about not seeing the tourist traps. It's about learning how to avoid them. Because any place you'd want to see becomes a tourist trap. You got to see this. All right, well, that's my final rant. And it is 5:55. Well, Philip, yeah, that was a tough time to be in Spain when you had that. I mean, to be honest, let's talk about the UK, especially Ireland, well, let's not talk about it, but in the 80s. I mean, even the UK was not safe at times. The United States, there are neighborhoods, even in Toledo, I would not want to stick my head out late at night. So I don't want this to turn into politics. But there's plenty of beautiful places. And if you don't want to leave the UK, there's a lifetime's worth of things to explore in the UK and enjoy. But, you know, sadly, you went to a danger zone at a dangerous time, which really soured you on it. But otherwise, I would, there are so many wonderful and great places to see. The world's too big and we only get one life. And even then, I have mine, like, I have no interest to go to Asia. And I'm sure there are people that have been to Asia like, oh my God, Asia's the best. I have no desire to go to Asia. I don't like the cuisine. I would, in some ways, I'd love to see all the beautiful temples and ancient forts, follow the Mongol horde across the steppes of Eurasia. The Bangor Wats in Kampuchea or Cambodia, whichever name it's going by now, because I think it switched back to Cambodia. The subcontinent of India, the Mujai dynasty and their temples and everything. There's just cool things to see everywhere in the world. But there's a list of the things that are more important to me, and that tends to be in Western Europe. And that's, you know, the beauty of it is you can pick where you want to go and go. Joyce and I left the UK thinking the UK would be a one-off trip. Seriously, I'll end tonight with that. We spent a month in the UK saying these are the things we wanted to see in the UK. And we didn't go see Stonehenge. And there are other places we wanted to see. We wanted to go up to the Highlands of Scotland, but it just didn't fit in our time and budget. We wanted to go into Ireland. We wanted to go up to Donegal and meet Mark from Donegal Railway, Donegal Heritage Museum. But it wasn't. But all that time, when we start, even with all that, when we started that trip, we thought this was going to be a one-off trip. But we had such a great time, we're going back. We're not going back next year, but we're going to go back. We are going to go back to the UK and try to hit some other places and towns. But it's going to be 2-3 years down the road because, you know, Artie and Kiwi Dave have been talking us into coming down there. So we're thinking 2024, maybe we'll go to New Zealand and Australia. And just see that, just to be different. I mean, I don't want to say that's etched in stone, but we've kind of already said yeah. And the problem is, I love Germany. I don't like skipping Germany for a year, and it's hard to believe that it will be 4 years since I've been in Germany when we go in June. It's hard to believe it's going to be 4 years. It's been 4 years. 2019 was our last time in Germany. 2 years in COVID, and then we went to the UK. And I really don't have the desire, but if that's how it works, well, maybe we'll do Germany, and then we'll do Australia, and then we'll go back to England, and then do Germany again. So maybe just 3 years in between German trips. Maybe that will be easier because we really enjoyed the UK. But there's other places we want to go and other people we'd love to meet if we don't jinx them. If we don't jinx them. Hey, Randall, we're just getting ready to log off here. Wigan Pies. Yeah, and the sad thing is, there are people, I would love to go back and hang out with Alan again. I would love to go back and hang out with Jim at Hover Motion. But at the same time, Joyce and I want to go to other areas. There's other places. That's the whole reason we would go back. Although there's a part of me that wants to go back to Liverpool. A strong part of me. Liverpool was just a blast. And Joyce probably wouldn't mind going back to Cardiff. But maybe we'd go to Newport or Brighton. But we want to hit that southern coast, the Isle of Wight. We want to hit that whole area up along the northeast coast, the Cumbria and Northumbria and all that area up there we didn't really get to. And then the Highlands of Scotland and over to Ireland. There's a lot we'd want to do. New areas. And then southeast, the southwest part of England, the southeast. Go up to the Highlands, get over to Ireland, and that's 4 weeks. So there's so many places, and I don't know if, hopefully we'll live long enough that maybe we could do a third trip to the UK someday. Because I'm sure there'll be other things we want to get to. But that was just it. I mean, we went to the UK and we met Chris. And we already liked Chris, and we've talked to Chris offline. And to have met him was beautiful. And we left saying, someday we'll come back. And he's like, well, hopefully I'll see you again. And that thought breaks me up. That thought breaks my heart. Because less than 8 weeks later, he was dead. And I am so grateful I got to spend the 2 hours with him in Edinburgh, 2 to 3 hours, whatever it was we spent together. And I wanted more. And he had to get back to Shirley. And Shirley passed away too, if you didn't know that. And that breaks my heart to this day. If I talk about it any longer, I'll be crying because I'm in the mood to cry with everything that's been going on. But you don't know. And I would like to meet every one of you somewhere sometime, and the sooner the better, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed for me or for anyone. All right, Andy, take care. Yeah, like I said, and there's so many people, and I still got the Netherlands and Scandinavia to go through. I want to do Norway, Sweden, and Finland, and Denmark. Can't forget Denmark, but as long as Jean Ricard's there, I'll avoid Denmark. We have that trip planned, on the to-do list. And hopefully we have a long life that we can do all these. And it's only harder because there are people like Jean Ricard in Denmark that we want to meet now. And when do we fit Denmark in? Now, we can do something where we go to Hamburg and he comes down and we all hang out together, which would be brilliant. Well, Valleys, that's a nice thought, but my grandfather was one of the most important people in my life, and I love the man, and I have missed the man for 45 years. 45, almost 50, yeah. 76 he died, 77 he died, so yeah, 45 years. And he's not alive either. Memories are good, but it's not the same thing as having them next to you. And Chris was somebody I wanted more memories with. And all of you people that come to my live feed, I would like to have a lot more memories with. Because me babbling here to a camera is not the same as sitting in a pub or in your living room eating buttered scones or creams with like Jim's wife had. Those were amazing. Or the great cheese and butter sandwiches that Alan's wife made for me, because she made stuff and I was like, well, I'm kind of picky about this stuff, but if you have just cheese, bread, and butter, that would be awesome. And just great cheese and nice fresh dairy butter. It was a great time. So on that note, I'm going to say, because I'm already 4 minutes over or 10 minutes over, thanks everybody who came into the live stream. I appreciate it. And hopefully somewhere along the line, our paths will cross. And if not, at least they're crossing here. Take care. Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains, everybody. Take care of yourselves.